James Bond The Duel? Like it's a James Bond fighting game? Well, in that case, I'm just gonna play Octopussy and Hadouken everybody. I'm gonna be as cheap as possible. Well, no, it's not a fighting game despite its strange title, but it is still a strange game. It's a platforming game where James Bond is like this weird ninja who climbs a lot of ladders. I'm not joking. In the first 3 levels, you climb about 100 ladders, and the levels are incredibly long. Like, the game intrigued me at first because it was pretty fun. It wasn't a lot of just non-stop action. It's kind of a thinking man's platformer where it's more about timing than actually luck. You're supposed to time yourself to avoid the enemies, to avoid all the different things that attack you, to duck when enemies are shooting at you, and all of this doesn't happen in the blink of an eye. In fact, this game is pretty mellow in terms of speed, so you have plenty of time to react. But where the game gets hard is the fact that there's just a lot of gameplay. The levels are very long, and that's where you can fail. Just avoiding the pretty easy enemies, but having to avoid a lot of them. James Bond also jumps really high up and does like this flip in the air. I don't understand why they would make James Bond do that. I mean, I understand it's a platformer for the Game Gear, so make him jump high, whatever. It's not supposed to be as realistic as possible, you know, it's cartoony. You know, it is a video game, but still, James Bond doesn't do flips in the air. He's like this suave secret agent. You can make him jump high, but there's no need for a flip. Leave the flips for Shinobi and Sonic the Hedgehog. The first few levels, the human enemies you fight are what I'm assuming is milkmen. They run around in these white milkman uniforms, and all you do is duck before they shoot you and shoot them in the gut, or wait for them to pass and just shoot them in the back of the head. That's right, our noble protagonist shooting dozens of men in the back of the head. But to tell you the truth, the human enemies in this game are nothing. The hardest enemies in this game are barrels and fish. That's right, James Bond gets fucked up by fish jumping out of the water. The fish don't even seem to bite him, they just kind of ram into him. So basically James Bond gets tackled by big tuna fish. But probably the worst enemies are barrels. The barrels are really fast and you don't see them coming. So a lot of times a barrel will just hit you right in your shins and you'll just fall over and die right there. That's right, James Bond gets killed by fucking barrels in this weird, crazy, ninja-like platforming game. Oh, and also there's boxes falling from the sky. But the thing about these is you can kind of time yourself because if you pay attention, you see most of the boxes. You just have to pay attention to the skyline of the game area. If you don't, you're gonna assume the boxes just come out of nowhere at random, but you can actually see the boxes as you run through the game. Just have to be really careful. But still, it's fucking boxes. James Bond gets killed by boxes like he's fucking Roger Rabbit. And the game isn't bad. I like the gameplay. And like I said, it's a thinking man's platformer. It's all about timing, and I like that. I hate games that are just non-stop stupid action and require a ton of luck to pass. This game requires mostly a lot of timing and a lot of patience. After you pass the first few levels, which take place on this big cargo ship, James Bond starts running around the forest like he's fucking Tarzan. No, he's not just running around the forest. He's literally jumping from branch to branch. I mean, imagine James Bond running around on branches in a forest. It's insane. He's not even climbing. He's literally just running on them like they're platforms. I'm sorry, but did that snake just shoot me? What the fuck? Let's rewind here and see if that snake did indeed just try to shoot James Bond. These evil villains are getting more maniacal by the day. They've trained snakes to use guns. Overall, I enjoyed this game, but it's just so strange to have James Bond do these extravagant flips in the air and then fight snakes and barrels and boxes falling on him and fish. It's just so not James Bond. It's almost like a cartoon parody of James Bond. It's like a Hot Shots version of the James Bond movies. Aside from the wacky enemies, the gameplay reminds me a little of Golgo 13, just with much better graphics and a better color palette. Also, there's no music while you actually play. All you hear is the sound effects of the gun shooting, the enemies attacking you, and all that jazz. Which is kind of inconsistent, because there is music in the title screen, there is music in the game over screen, just no music in the actual gameplay. Maybe the game would be better with some music, or maybe the music they had for the game was so bad that the game is better off without the music. Who knows? But yeah, that's just another anomaly of the game. No music in the gameplay. For how weird this game is, it's ultimately pretty fun and probably one of the better Game Gear games. But then again, I haven't played that many yet. James Bond 007 The Duel gets an official stanburdman rating of a 7.9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.